All right. As promised, here is the um, WOA 2024 Fast Pitch 101 test guide. And these questions that I'm going to go through are the 25 questions that are on the Fast Pitch 101 study guide that you can download from Arbiter, the central hub. And we're just going to go through them one by one. Probably try and be pretty consistent and quick, and see if we can't get through it in a good time. So, number one, prior to the contest, the official is required to ask the coach, does your team have a healthcare professional authorized in concussion management? The answer is true, and that's the concussion protocol document that you can find on the WIAA WOA Central Hub on Arbiter. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. And this language is pretty specific in that you do have to ask, does your team have a healthcare professional authorized in concussion management? Not only are you required to ask that, but you are required to get a yes from each head coach of each team. A yes or a no, I should say. If they say yes, then that allows you to, um, should somebody be removed from the game for concussion, signs or symptoms of a concussion. If you have a yes from that coach, then the coach is responsible to see them taken care of, but they can come back. Now, if the coach says no, then should somebody be removed, they're done for the game and they can't come back. It is very important that you don't accept a yes, like the coach has gone through the concussion protocol training. That is not what we're asking. We're not asking if somebody has gone through the training. We're asking if there's a healthcare professional authorized in concussion management. That's generally going to be a trainer, a nurse, a doctor, EMT, somebody that is a medical professional. Number two, after being removed from the game for symptoms of a concussion, a player must be evaluated by proper medical personnel prior to returning to play. Who is responsible for making sure the player has been properly evaluated? That is the head coach. Not only are they responsible, but they are the only one who gets to make the call of whether the student or the player comes back. And I say the only one. An assistant coach can't do it. You can't do it. The head coach is the one who says yes. They have been evaluated. They're ready to come back into play. And that, of course, is just covered in the concussion management video and the concussion management document. Number three, after being removed from the game for symptoms of a concussion, the player is approved to return to play. A few plays later, the player is once again showing signs of a potential concussion. What should be done? And this is what should be done from the umpire, and that is send the player off for evaluation again. Now, ostensibly, you've already done that. So you're just going to do it again. It's like check them out again. And if they get checked out and they come back, you can allow them back. So you see signs or symptoms and you can send them off again. So again, part of our concussion management. Question number four, the plate umpire always has a lead runner on tag ups. Now, I am not sure exactly what this question is asking, but I can tell you that the plate umpire always has a lead runner whenever there are multiple runners on, or it's just a single runner at third. Then the answer is true in those circumstances. But I believe what what I'm going to answer on the test if it comes up is false, because there are two situations, single runners at first and second, where the tag up responsibility is the base umpire. The plate umpire does not have that tag up responsibility. And you will read that in the WOA Umpire Mechanics Manual, pages 34 and 35, where it talks about tag up responsibilities. It doesn't ever like have this statement. I have not read this statement anywhere in the book, so You just are looking for one instance where the plate umpire does not have the lead runner. The lead runners is most often the plate's responsibility, but not always. Number 5, the base umpire should always remain outside the base path unless forced to go inside. I just don't understand what they're asking for this because, and I'm just going to be honest, in the WOA Umpire Mechanics Manual, they have a rule of thumb called inside out. And inside out means that if the ball stays in the infield, then you stay out looking in. So you're outside the base path. When you go inside the base path is when a ball is hit to the outfield, and going inside the diamond is your best look at the runner touching the base, the throw coming in if there's a potential, and the ability to follow the runner around the bases if in fact they have an extra base hit. But I don't know what the question means by forced to go inside, because you are never forced to go inside. It's just there are better ways to get your angle and your distance better than others. And sometimes the best way to do it is to go inside. I don't know if they mean by false or forced. I probably will answer yes on this, assuming that by forced they mean the mechanic tells you to go inside. But it's really weird wording until there's more clarity on what they mean. I'm not sure how you should answer that. I'm going to say true, and we shall see. In the mechanics manual, when you look in the mechanics manual, I have yet to find this rule or this guideline in there anywhere yet, so I just may have missed it, but I don't know what they mean by forced. Number 6, when calling a strike, the plate umpire should vocalize strike when down, that's in the crouch position, and then raise and signal, and that is true. The umpire mechanics manual, page 25, that when you call when it's a called strike, that is that not a swinging strike, but the ball just is pitched and caught and it comes into the strike zone. You're down, you're looking at the top of the zone, you're focused on the pitcher, verbalize it down, and then stand up and give the mechanic. And that's true in every umpire mechanic rule set that I've ever seen. We vocalize when down and then come up. If you're a new umpire, one of the habits that will serve you well if you can get it early is to stay down and be patient. Stay down, make the call, then come up. Don't shoot up right after the pitch comes in. Stay down and verbalize. But that's the proper mechanic, is to vocalize when you're down and then stand up and give the manual signal. Number 7, the on-deck circle must be occupied, and the offensive player may use either team's on-deck circle. This is false for 2 reasons. One, the on-deck circle does not have to be occupied. It can be empty. The on-deck batter does not have to come out and swing the bat outside in the circle. You wouldn't stop a game or pause or anything. So, must be occupied is incorrect. But the other part that makes this wrong is that the offensive player may use either team's on-deck circle. In school ball, they are restricted to using the circle that is in front of their dugout. That's considered that team's on-deck circle. And so it's wrong on both counts. That makes it false. Here's the rule. Number 8, team A's coach is in the third base. That's how it appears in the study guide. Third base coaching box, and has an iPad, using the iPad for which of the following is legal? Scorekeeping, taking photos, recording video, or none of the above. Scorekeeping is allowed. Now, this is where they cite reference 186, which is a casebook. It's not a rule. It's in the casebook. And they delineate what you can do, but also Rule 3.6.10 allows scorekeeping in the coaching box and allows you to do it with an electronic device. That's the only reason you can bring the iPad out out to third base is to do scorekeeping. Now the iPad in the dugout, you can do other coaching things, but out on the field, only for scorekeeping. Number 9, which of the following is true about a foul tip? By definition, a foul tip is defined as a ball goes directly to the catcher's mitt. This is from the bat directly to the catcher's mitt and is caught by the catcher. So that will be a ball that has little or no arc and usually is immediate. Foul tip hits the mitt. Now, in A, it says the ball goes directly to the catcher's mask and is caught, which means it would go above the mitt. And if it hits the mask, as soon as it hits the mask, you have a foul ball. I mean, it's just dead foul ball. Also, it goes directly to the umpire's mask and is caught by the catcher. As soon as it hits the umpire, it's a foul ball. Remember, our definition of foul ball is a batted ball that hits someone or something in foul territory before it passes for space. So if the ball is hit off the bat and it hits you in the mask or it hits the catcher in the mask, it has now hit someone or something in foul territory. The exception being if it hits the mitt of the catcher, then it's a caught foul. But in this case, it's just a foul tip. What's important about a foul tip is that a foul tip is not an out; it's just a strike. Would result in an out if it's strike 3, but doesn't automatically make an out. And the ball remains live. So runners who are advancing can continue to advance. You wouldn't kill it. On the 2 scenarios, if it's a foul ball, we call dead ball immediately, which means no runners can advance, no plays can be made. It's just foul. Rule 224.2 defines what a foul tip is. That's C. I'll remind you here that when you get to these questions on the test, you may have the same question. The order of the answers may be different. So read the answers. Make sure you grab the right one. Number 10, which of the following is not correct about interference? So we're looking for something that's not correct. A, that there must be contact. So many people think that there must be contact or contact is the only reason you would call interference. But the rule does not mandate that there's contact. And in fact, it says that contact is not necessary in order to make an interference call. Now, what is true about interference? B, when the base runner is hit with a batted ball, when that happens, it's not every time it's interference, but it can be interference. And then C, when a batter runner is hit with a thrown ball while running outside the 3-foot lane. Again, not always an out, not always interference, but it can be interference. And then it's always true that when you have interference, you immediately call dead ball. It's always a dead ball. The rule that was cited 232.1 is incorrect. It's 231.1. So this is a pitching rule or something. It's weird. It's not the right one. And then you have these situations where B, C, and D are all true. You can see those in those rules. Number 11. What is true when a batter is intentional walked for appeal purposes? Again, that's the way it is in the study guide. I would say intentionally walked for appeal purposes. In school ball, the coach or a player can ask to walk the batter automatically. No pitches need to be thrown. The batter just goes to first base and is credited with a base on balls. Now, what is true? The ball is not dead as the ball is dead as the runner's going, so the runner can't advance past second. Nobody else can steal. You can't throw the ball around. The ball is dead. It is considered a time at bat, so it is as if they stood up there and took those 4 pitches and then is considered the same as a pitch being thrown. And that is kind of nuancy, but there are some things that as soon as a pitch is thrown to the next batter, like rule violations that don't the ability um, to bring the penalty is limited to the next pitch that's thrown. So batting out of order, all that becomes different as soon as the next pitch is thrown. Well, if you intentionally walk somebody, that is the same as a pitch being thrown. So something else may not be able to also be done. But all those things are true. So D, all of the above. And you can see not only the rule that defines an intentional walk, but you can see more information at this rule 811C effect 2. Rule or question 12, umpires may inspect player equipment. This is true. They may inspect player equipment. They don't have to. And in fact, we don't normally inspect player equipment at the beginning of the game. We ask the coach, is everybody legally and safely equipped? So the coach bears responsibility. However, if you have a compelling reason, like you see unsafe equipment, you can, go inspect it and make sure that it is still in a safe, playable condition. So umpires may inspect the equipment. It is not mandatory that they inspect. Question 13. After walking 2 consecutive batters, the third baseman calls timeout to talk to the pitcher. The umpire should note this as a charged conference. This is false, and the reason it is false in Rule 371, it defines a charged conference as a time granted to a team so that players on the field can confer with a coach or coaching staff. So if it's just the third baseman talking to the pitcher, that's all happening on the field, it is not a charged conference. And they can talk. So it's the definition of what a charged conference is. Now, if the coach comes out to also talk to the pitcher, now it becomes a charged conference. If the pitcher should talk to the third baseman and then head over to the dugout and talk to the coach while the coach remains in the dugout, it's still a player and a coach conferring. That is a charged conference. Question 14. Which of the following is true about charged conferences? Each team is allotted 3 defensive and 3 offensive conferences in a 7-inning game. That is not true because they get 1 offensive conference per inning. That's it. A team may not use 2 defensive charge conferences in 1 inning. That is incorrect. They can use all 3 in the same inning if they want. They just have a max that they get. An extra inning game, defensive charge conferences are cumulative. That is incorrect. Whenever we go to an extra inning game, the defense gets 1 charged conference for that extra inning. If you have multiple extra innings, they get 1 conference per inning. But and if they had some left over from the regular game, those don't persist. They just get 1. A team may only use 1 offensive charge conference in any inning. That is true. Or 1 offensive charge conference. That is true. Every inning, you can only have 1 offensive charge conference in any inning. That's when you're batting. And here are the rules for question 14. Question 15. Before the game has started, who determines if the field is playable? This is before the game has started. A general rule of thumb is the umpires have no jurisdiction until the game starts. Once the game starts, now the umpires make decisions about things like, is the field safe? Are the conditions safe to play? And all of that. But until the game starts, until play ball, it is the head coach, the home coach, that determines if the field is playable or not. We always talk about, as umpires, this scenario that I guess could happen, that a field is really unplayable. The umpires are like, this is unsafe, but a home coach insists it's playable, and so they want to start the game. Well, If the home coach says it's playable, you have to start the game. However, the umpires could just say, play ball, time. Now the game is theirs, and they can say, these conditions are not playable. We're calling the game. It's not safe. And that would, I mean, you'd make a lot of people angry doing that. However, you could do it, and legally, and according to the rule, the head coach is the one who determines if the field is playable up until the time the the game starts. 16. After the start of a game, it is forfeit if either team is unable to field 9 players. And that is false. They can actually play down 1 player. So they can play with only 8 defensive players on the field. Now, I would, and this is in 4-3-1G, you can be 1 man down. So this is a shorthanded rule, is what it's called. They can play with 1 man down. However, 431F tells us that they must have 9 to start. So they can't start shorthanded, but they can, because of maybe injury or some other legitimate reason, they can go shorthanded and finish the game. Question number 17, in fast pitch, when does the pitch start? We talked about this in the last training, but the pitch starts when the hands separate. So there's a lot of stuff the pitcher has to do, and we're watching for. They have to put their feet on the pitching plate or the pitching rubber. They have to set their feet correctly. They have to have hands apart when they set their feet, but then the hands come together. That's part of the pitching mechanic. However, when does the pitch actually start? It's when their hands come apart, one the ball in the pitching hand, and then the glove in the other hand. They come apart, and the pitcher is going to go through their windup and throw. That is when it happens. It's not any of these others, and you can look at Rule 612A. How many warm-up pitches does the pitcher get in her allotted time between innings? First, let me say that the allotted time is 60 seconds. But how many pitches can she throw? It is always 5 pitches, no more than in that allotted time. Very often, teams will move slow enough that they may get all 5 of theirs in the first inning, but they really only have time for 3 after that. Some teams think that that's all they get. Well, it's not a matter of how many pitches, it's a matter of time, because you have 1 minute and 3 pitches, and that's all you're going to get in the 1 minute. So it's really the time restriction, not the pitch count. You can throw as many as 5 in every half inning that the pitcher goes out there. Number 19. The pitcher deliberately rolls the ball to the catcher to prevent the hitter from hitting it. Well, this is illegal, and there's 2 places it says it. In rule that the study guide references, 647, that's a slow pitch rule. It is exactly the same as fast pitch. You cannot roll the ball to keep the hitter from hitting it. But 621 says that is the rule for fast pitch. You can't roll the ball. Now, remember, this says deliberately. So if the pitcher pitches and on her follow through hits her leg with her hand as she's following through, and the ball comes loose and it hits the ground and just rolls in. Well, that wasn't intentional. I mean, it was a mistake. It is a ball on the batter, not intentional, therefore not illegal. It had to be intentional or deliberate. And because you can automatically walk somebody, you don't have to throw pitches to them to get 4 balls. You can just say, walk them. You'll almost never see this. Question 20. The batter swings at a pitch and is struck on the hand with the ball. So they're swinging through and the ball hits their hand. The ball rolls into fair territory. What do you have? Well, it was a swing, but it was also hit by a pitch. First of all, just know this, whenever the batter is hit by the ball, however that happens, anytime the batter's hit by the ball, that is always a dead ball. There is not a situation that you will ever not have a dead ball. It could be the batter hits it, the ball bounces up and hits them, dead ball. Or it could be that the pitch just is too far inside, hits the batter, dead ball. Could be that the batter is swinging and it hits their hand, dead ball. Always a dead ball. The question is it a ball or is it a strike or is it an out or is it a take your base? In this particular case, because the batter was swinging on it, swinging at it, we call it dead, but we give them a strike because they swang at the ball. Um, and then that's a strike on the batter, which means we don't send them to first. We don't do anything. We just call dead ball, strike. And then when the coach says, "But why it hit him?" and you can say because the hitter was swinging the bat, it's a strike. Now, this extra thing, if third strike batter is out, is true. Yes, if by calling the strike you have strike three, then the batter is also out. Now it's kind of, that all is lemon juice in the wound there, lemon juice in the paper cut because their hands probably hurt because they got hit by the ball, and now you also are calling the strike and making them stay at bat. So it's not the funnest call to make, but that is the right call. 721G. Question 21. Runner, which we'll call R1, on second with 2 outs. So the first runner is on second base, and there are 2 outs. B2, which is batter, as a left-handed batter, squares off and bunts the ball. So let's assume that all of this is legal and a bunt. While still in the batter's box, the bat still in the batter's hands, the ball goes straight down, it hits the ground, comes back up, and it hits the bat again. What do you have? Well, if the batter's in the batter's box and the bat is still in the batter's hands, then this is a dead ball. It's a foul ball, which is a little bit redundant because a foul ball is a dead ball. That's the same thing. You could say dead ball or you could say foul. But this pure definition is found here in 7-4-13 in the explanation. Explanation, what is that called? The extra something. Oh, exception. It's the exception. But this is defined specifically as a foul ball. And you'll understand this is a foul ball because usually they're bunting and the ball just immediately goes down, up, hits the bat, and it's dead ball, foul. They usually don't have any time to do anything, and that's how you know it's like, yeah, it's just a foul. All right. Question 22. Question 22 here, and I just got rid of our margin bottom. A damaged bat is an illegal bat. This is false. In Rule 742 in the note, a damaged bat is not illegal equipment. It is just unallowable equipment, which means there's no penalty for the player using a damaged bat. They can't, you don't allow it. As soon as you realize it's damaged, you send it back to the dugout and say you cannot use that bat. There's no penalty. It's not like they were trying to cheat. They brought a damaged bat, and that makes no difference when you discover that it's damaged. As soon as you do, then you call time and you tell the hitter that bat's got to go back in the dugout. You can't use it, and then ask the coach to set it aside or dispose of it or whatever. But it's not illegal. There's not a penalty that we would exact. 7-4-2 note. Question 23. What is the status of the ball during an intentional walk? We talked about this, but it is dead. So there can be no advance of other runners. There can be no plays made. There's no outs made. The batter just gets a walk to first. And if going to first forces other players forward, then they would, of course, go. But they can't steal. They can't get extra bases. We have a dead ball situation. Question 24. A pitched ball is in the strike zone, and it hits the batter. So if you think about this, the ball is in the strike zone. It's over the plate. and it is at the right height, and it hits the batter. This is like a batter crowding the base or a batter turning to avoid the ball, but they place themselves close enough to the strike zone or in the strike zone that the ball's in the strike zone when it hits them. What happens? Well, first of all, the ball is dead. Anytime you have a hit batter, the ball is dead, but you charge the batter with a strike. Now, the most more than likely, if you see this, you'll see this because the player is a little bit crowding the plate, but they see the ball coming on the inside and they turn towards you as an umpire, turn their back towards the pitcher in anticipation they're going to get hit by the ball. But now their body is either over that space between the plate and the batter's box. We call it the river. Their body is over the river or it's over the plate itself. And if any part of the ball is over the plate and it hits them, that's a strike. It's dead ball because it hit the player, but it is a strike because it was going to go through the strike zone. 812 does not define that. Actually, 721 does define it in subsection G. The batter gets a strike and the ball is dead. Last question in this 101 study guide. In the top of the first inning, means we have team on defense and offense, and this is how we started the game right here. Team A uses A1 as a courtesy runner for the pitcher. Now in the sixth inning, Team A wants to use A1 as a courtesy runner for the catcher. Do you allow it? This is illegal because a courtesy runner, once they have run for a pitcher or a catcher, can only run for a pitcher or a catcher. They can't switch between the two. So if Mabel is a shortstop and she's fast and the pitcher makes it on, or not shortstop, but on the bench, and the pitcher makes it on base and they send Mabel out to run for the pitcher, well, now Mabel can only run for pitchers. It doesn't have to be that exact player because you may sub out and put a different player in later for pitcher, but the pitcher, Mabel only can run for pitchers. Any pitcher, but only pitchers. And if they want Mabel to run for a catcher, you just don't allow it. That's why whenever you have courtesy runners, you take out your lineup card and you mark down that this person is going as a courtesy runner for a pitcher. If later in the game the coach says, I want to send Mabel out to courtesy run for the catcher, you look at your lineup card, you've already made a note that said Mabel's run for a pitcher in this game. You don't allow it. You say, Coach, she can't run for the pitcher. There's not a penalty. You just don't allow it into the game. It's a penalty if you allow it and she gets on the base, then that's bad because that can create a penalty. But when the coach asks to put that courtesy runner out, you look at your lineup card and you just say nope. You don't allow it. That's why you take good notes on your lineup card, and that's rule 891. All right, so there are all of the questions, the 25 questions. Remember that when you take the 101, you're going to be given 20 of these questions, and you've got to answer them. But there you go. Don't hesitate to look these rules up for yourself and get familiar with where to find them in the book and the rule book language. That will very much help you. That is your 101 study guide.